Welcome to another episode of Grape to Glass with Vin de Classique. Today joining me, I have André from the Old Vine Project. André, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Wonderful to be here.
So André, tell me a little bit about the key objectives behind the Old Vine Project and why it exists in South Africa.
It's all about the conservation of our viticultural heritage. We realize that the value of our old vines is very important, and the economic model doesn't work when vines grow older. The volume drops in terms of its yield, so it's not economically viable for the farmer to grow old vines. But it makes magnificent wines, and we've seen this internationally. So we decided to establish the Old Vine Project. It was started in 2016. Mr. Rupert gave us seed funding. We're the only wine region in the world with a formal Old Vine Project. I mean, there is the Barossa Charter, there is groupings in Napa and Lodi. People put Levay Vin on their labels in France, but it's all informal, it's not regulated. So the objective is to protect our old vines that make magnificent wines.
And André, tell me, is it all about old vines? Is that where your focus is exclusively?
Now, over the years, we realized that it's actually not only about old vineyards. It's a term that I coined, plant to grow old. It's about looking to the future. We're learning from the old vines why they actually survived where they are. It puzzles us why in sandy or rocky or very, very adverse conditions, a vine can grow 60, 80 or over 100 years old. So they're teaching us with their wisdom how we should plant our young vineyards to grow old and not fall into a cycle of every 20 years pulling it out because of virus infection or not treating it properly through viticulture.
So I'm a huge fan of the work the Old Vine Project does, and certainly wines that are produced using old vines. But I want to hone in a little bit more on this project, the 1975 Pinotage that VDC are working on. At some stage it's going to land on shelf, and of course consumers are going to walk up and not really know how to identify whether this or any other wine for that matter is produced using old vines. How do people navigate this scenario of the age of vines and the product that comes in the end state?
So I mentioned that across the world you'll see old vine in whatever language on a front label or back label, but it's not regulated. You don't know if that vine is actually old. And what we decided on a benchmark of 35 years and older, which is based on the fact that a vineyard grows into balance between 30 and 40 years. It's almost like when you're a student in your 20s, you party like there's no tomorrow. You won't reach 30, but when you reach 30, in theory, you have a career, you might be married, have a family. You don't go discoing every weekend, you have a bride with the dogs and the family. And that analogy is how the vine grows into balance. So that's old vine for us, and I've discussed this with our counterparts across the world, and we all believe that beyond 30 vines go into balance. And then what's interesting is that we launched a seal, Certified Heritage Vineyards seal, which is a world first. We are the only country in the world that can actually trace the plant date of a vineyard. So the 1975 Pinotage is on the SARVIS books. SARVIS is an industry organization that was established by government and KBV many years ago. Our planting dates go back to the 1900s, to 1900 specifically. So we can trace that vineyard's planting date, and that gives the consumer a sense of authenticity. It guarantees quality, and it's, as I said, the first in the world. So the consumer should look out for the seal that will be on the neck here or incorporated in the back label.
So this is obviously not something that an organization like the Old Vine Project can do alone. How important is it for you that a business like VDC would contact you to be involved in a project like 1975 and to certify these vineyards? It's
very important. In the beginning when I started with this project, I was mandated to save old vines. I used to go to the cooperatives, because I think 80% of all our old vines is within the cooperative system, and it's tied up, but it's harvested and it blends away into big blends. And what we've achieved now over the last 4 or 5 years is we've liberated those old blocks, made it available to some of our members. We started in 2016 with 8 members. By Cape Wine, that Wine South Africa organizes every 3 years, in 2018 we were 45 members. Before lockdown, 70 members, and by the end of this month we'll be on 100 members.
That's incredible.
And to come back to your question, it's very important for us for people to believe in the value of old vines and join us in in the marketing effort and adding value to the South African wine industry as a whole.
Great. Andre, thank you very much for your time and for expressing a bit of the objective around Old Vine Project. They say that if wine can truly express a point of place, then old vines, those that have lived through the winters, the summers, the harsh sun and the snowy cold, would certainly be those that express the story even best. And we truly believe that the 1975 Pinotage by VDC will express exactly that when it's launched in just a few months' time.